The essence of basketball. I don't know if you can be a basketball player without experience.
BBALL Radio.
1, 2, 1, 2. What's up, everybody? Peace. My name is Bobbito and E-New, aka Cool Bob Love. This is BBALL Radio. Whoa, 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 whoa. And the co-host is...
Get your BBALL Radio. E-New here with Bobbito Garcia. The sunglasses are upstairs. I just remembered. But Bob, it's summer. And, you know, now we're in this post-Olympic lull. And you know me, right?
Low? What you mean low? Playground basketball is on fire right now.
Right, but I can't watch playground basketball unless I'm going to Venice or I'm watching an IG Live.
I got you. Okay.
I usually check into some sort of like summer movie vibe. So today I've got the Japanese Jaws poster T-shirt for you, which you're a global icon. So I figured you would love the shout out to the Japanese Jaws poster T-shirt. It is interesting because the subject of our show today, the late great Kobe Bryant, you could compare his attitude, mantra, and mission on the floor, of a great white shark. You know, Kobe Bryant's birthday, August 23rd. Kobe Bryant Day, of course, 8/24 the next day, combining the jersey numbers that he wore. And you and I have some very unique stories,
absolutely,
feelings and experiences. And before you dive in, I just want to say, like, I still don't feel like it's real.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't.
You know, there's a photo on my wall of me, Justin Francis, and Kevin Garnett filming on the beach in Malibu.
Yep.
And
I know that photo.
The day before the Kobe tragedy, and it's 10 miles away. Like we're at Malibu. And the reason why I bring it up is because then obviously, like, in the aftermath of that dark cloud that you felt, it was a type of grief. And obviously this is going to be a celebratory show, but it was a type of grief that I really hadn't felt before. And then obviously you fast forward to the second week of March, less than 2 months later, and the entire world shuts down. So the reason why I bring up
starting with the NBA, like the NBA, closing out their season was like the marker. Like, wait, this is not something that we can avoid at this point. In terms of other pandemics. I mean, at least us in the basketball community, you know.
Absolutely. And the reason why I bring it up is because I look at that photo. It's really the last day of normalcy. But, you know, Bob, you're going to start us off here because of, you know, the high school connection.
I have ties to Kobe Bryant that are
in
kind of completely unexpected, that when I mention it to people, they're just like, no way. So let me share that in the rookie season or second season of Kobe's career in the NBA, coming straight out of high school, he wanted to launch a rap career, and he got signed by Columbia Records, who had put out Nas, the Fugees, Cypress Hill. You know, there's like heavy hitters in the hip hop space. And Vibe magazine at the time had brought me on board to do a monthly column called The Sound Check. Bobbito plays the tracks, so-and-so states the facts. And so it was basically like a blindfold test. I would play music. I wouldn't tell people what I was sharing. And I would make the selections based on who they were, my research, and try to get responses from them, elicit emotion. And so I walk into, they booked me to interview Kobe because he clearly had not just basketball, but he had a music edge to him as well, because of his desire to be an artist. And, he wasn't the first. There was the the basketball's best kept secret album that Epic did. I did voiceover work for that. There were a number of Cedric Sabalos was on that. Dana Barros was on that. On and on and on. Shaq had his album. So, Kobe's following a line of other NBA players who were trying to like be MCs. And anyway, I walk in the studio.
That's our first Cedric Sabalos mention here on B-Ball Radio, by the way. Now, was he rapping blindfolded like he was in the dunk contest? Or no?
Nah, sorry, he might very well have been, because his performance was not memorable. Anyway, no diss to Cedric, seems like a cool cat, but anyway. So I walk into the studio. Kobe's there with his boys. He had a group, and he doesn't know who I am, or maybe he does. I don't know, but he's Kobe. He's kind of cocky. And the first thing out of his mouth to his boys, he's like, "Yo, look at your man. He look like John B." John B was like a R&B artist at the time, and had like a haircut, whatever. So I'm like, "Yo, my man, you trying to snap on me, B, with your bell bottom sweatpants on?" And then all his boys was like, "Yo," because he had on some ridiculously baggy. Which we were all rocking baggy, but they didn't come tight at the bottom. They wasn't tapered, and they have the drawstring or the rubber band to make them tight at the ankle. They was just flapping out. So all his boys started laughing, whatever. So we give each other a pound. Yo, what's up, B? I'm gonna play some music, whatever. Well, cool, do that. And so I just say, yo, I want to let you know, like, I played varsity at Lower Merion too. And he's like, again, I don't know if he knows who I am in Hip Hop, Vibe Magazine, nothing. Because he doesn't let on. He's just like, yo, get out of here, B. You ain't play at Lower Merion. I'm like, yo, my man. Coach Manning was my head coach. And then his jaw drops when I say Coach Manning, right? And I'm like, was he your coach too? He's like, nah, actually, Mr. Manning was doing health ed. We had a different coach by then. But I heard about, his years as head coach, got a lot of W's. I was like, yeah, we qualify for the states and da-da-da, And he's still looking at me like kind of sideways, like, nah, B, like, you're bugging, you're making this up. And I'm like, I was an ABC student. And then his jaw really drops. ABC is a better chance. It's a scholarship program for students of color that tries to take kids out of their natural environments and put them in ones that would be more supportive for academic excellence and forward movement into college. We had an ABC house in Ardmore, close to Lower Merion, and he goes, "Yo, B, my best friend at LM was an ABC student too. I used to be at the house all the time." Wow. He's like, "I have such fond memories of that house." He's like, "Yeah, 121 Ardmore Avenue." When I said that, like, it was like there was no way I could be fronting at that point. Like it just, and like I'm like getting goosebumps right now. It was almost like we gave each other a pound and a hug. Like, yo, like we have this together, Now, naturally, when he came out of Lower Merion High School straight into the pros, the year after Kevin Garnett did in '96, it put Lower Merion on a map globally that hadn't really existed before, even though in the state of Pennsylvania, we were very successful. I think we had 3 state titles. We, qualified for state semifinals and, district and we won. When I was there, we won Central League. We won Central League, bajillions of times. But but Kobe broke all the scoring records. They had his jersey hung up in the gym. Eventually, he actually spends more than $1 million to erect a new gymnasium, the Kobe Bryant Gymnasium, and there's a whole trophy case, with his jersey and his awards and everything, his sneakers. That comes a lot later. I'll get to that, or maybe I'll just stay there right now. But yeah, I interviewed him. Beautiful photo shoot. It was a full page and Vibe, and that sort of was the beginning, the foundation of me and Kobe Bryant's like sort of relationship. Not that I ever broke bread with him, Not that I ever like had his phone number, but I think we were like at that, moving forward into the sneaker space, we were intertwined. I'll get to that later, Eric, but I want to throw to you. What was your first encounter with Kobe Bryant?
Wow. Well, all joking aside on our Celtics material, right? Like you're hearing about this, and obviously different skill set on the court, but I'm class of '96,
oh, get
and
out, get out.
yeah, and I'm wearing 33 in high school, obviously because of Larry Legend, and that's the number Kobe wore in high school, and I'm hearing about this kid. And obviously you mentioned it, KG comes out in 95.
Yes, Kevin Garnett.
Kobe, and one of the coolest stories KG tells in Kevin Garnett Anything Is Possible is when he met Kobe post game in Philadelphia his rookie year. Kobe was there to pick his brain,
really,
and talk to him. Yeah,
really,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll send you the clip. It's awesome, and the way Kevin lays it out and tells it and everything, and how Kevin does his imitations. So he's doing his Kobe imitation of the exchange, and Kobe's like in his seat in the locker room, and says I'm Joe Bryant's kid, and I'm Kobe, and I say that all to say that it was so intriguing when he was drafted, and then obviously the famous trade, him going to the Lakers, and immediately it's
wait,
like
who drafted him first before he got traded?
Sorry, the Charlotte Hornets, the 13th overall.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that.
Vlade Divac was a very good center with the Lakers.
Yep.
And his career started right after Kareem was done, and he had 2 years of Magic Johnson.
Yep.
And Charlotte, this is a different time that I don't think people realize, like the risk involved with taking a freshman in college, nonetheless a high school kid. So Jerry West sees the writing on the wall with the potential greatness. He signed Shaquille O'Neal in free agency from the Orlando Magic, and he trades Vlade Divac to the Charlotte Hornets.
Wow.
For the
what a move.
Rights to Kobe Bryant.
What a move.
So then immediately it's like, okay, Shaq and Kobe are on the Lakers. I can't stand these guys. Like this is and part of it was envy, right? Like the Celtics were about to have their worst season in franchise history, and the Lakers have Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. So I'm watching him go through his growing pains, and you then watch the rise when they win the first title.
Wait, and does he not take 33 with the Lakers because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's number was retired?
Well, obviously 33 was not available.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if there's a reasoning that we are missing behind taking number 8. We should probably look at that.
Yeah.
And then splice that in if it's meaningful. Yeah. But, I just wanted to set that backstory because from day one, and this is obviously before having the privilege and the opportunity to meet him, from day one, it was like, okay, these are the Lakers, and they end up, building a three-peat dynasty. And, it's everything I ever wanted as a basketball fan, as an adult. And, they win it in 2000. And if you go back and you watch the fourth quarter comeback against the Portland Trailblazers in Game 7, where they are down 15 points entering the fourth quarter with a finals berth on the line, Kobe Bryant does superhuman things in that fourth quarter. And it's pretty outstanding. Everyone just remembers the lob to Shaq. They had already had the lead at that point. Some of the shot making that he displays to get them back in the game is is incredible, and it's something I often watch since his passing. But they go to the finals. He sprains his ankle against Indiana, the famous Jalen Rose stepping under him that was always talked about. Comes back, Game 4, incredible performance on the road, and that sets up their first title and three-peat. And then obviously, they lose to Detroit in 2004, the feud with Shaq, Kobe's off-court troubles surface, and you don't know what's going to come of this guy. You don't know if he's going to demand a trade. There's rumors of these polarizing conversations about him just being like, you know what, I'm going to go cross town to the Clippers, and just all of these things. And, Phil Jackson leaves and then comes back. And, obviously it's very unique to have 2 jersey numbers retired. But who he evolved into from 8 to 24, and obviously in jersey number 8 in 2006, he scores 81 points. And when I'm on that China Nike basketball trip that summer
against the Toronto Raptors,
and Jalen Rose. And there's a great commercial with Kobe and Jalen, which you want to talk about dry humor. There's an incredible commercial that plays on that. But, I'm in China in 2006, and all of this is rushing back to me right now. And I'm sorry, I had to get in the hot tub time machine here. But when we're in China, every piece of marketing is Kobe. There's murals painted everywhere. There's photos of me and my coaches I'm with, and we're standing in front of these murals, and it's Kobe everywhere. And you realize the game's going global. You realize certain guys have this massive global appeal, specifically in Asia. But then you're there and you see it up close and you feel it from the fans over there. And that was very captivating and very memorable. And, you fast forward to 07-08, and, KG and Ray joined the Celtics, and the Big Three is formed with Pierce, and they beat the Lakers with a bold statement win in Game 6 in 2008, which further drives Kobe Bryant and him and his new number 24 to reach new heights. And that sets up the 2010 finals rematch. That's the one that, like, forget being a fan. Like, that's the game Paul Pierce can't watch again. That's the game Kevin Garnett can't watch again, is that Game 7. And, I made the comment about Meta earlier, and have such a great relationship with him stemming back to New York. And, the Kobe kick right wing to Meta to hit the dagger. But Kobe Bryant doesn't shoot the ball well that game. Kobe Bryant doesn't have a great scoring game, but Kobe Bryant wills the Lakers to that championship with, I think, 15 or 16 rebounds. And at that time, we were launching the 2010 World Basketball Festival in New York, the first one ever. And I had the opportunity to lead the grassroots of it all. So Chainlink Fundamentals basketball clinics, and being involved in Jordan Breakfast Club and Converse Open Gym. That. And somewhere along the line, we're running all of this outdoor basketball programming up on 133 and St. Nick. Does that sound right?
It was between 8th and 7th and 8th Avenue, Frederick Douglass and Adam Clayton Powell.
Sorry, Frederick Douglass.
Yep. On 133rd in the schoolyard there.
And it was PS 92. They transformed the basketball courts there. They renovated it. They must have put like $250,000 into it.
Yep.
And it was like running outdoor 5-star in the community all summer. And it was some of the greatest memories I've ever had, and meaningful work. Like, these kids didn't if you're listening to this and you didn't grow up in a city, in an urban center, it's tough for kids during the summer who don't have programming or a day camp or who aren't involved in sports. So
or a sleepaway camp,
or have the means and the resources to go to sleepaway camp, like I was lucky enough to do. So I learned right away. I'm like, like there's more here that we need to do than just basketball. Like I got kids ready to pass out during warm-ups, and I'm pulling them aside, and I'm learning they didn't have breakfast because there's no breakfast in the house. So, I'm getting bushels of apples and hydration stations, and it turned into something really, really special. And I'm laying that out because the culmination of the summer was the 3 or 4 days at Rucker, along with the combined stuff with Team USA and that Jay-Z show, if you remember, at Radio City. And all of that stuff for me was like this culmination of this ride that started with China in 2006, and then doing clinics and meeting all these new people, which is how, of course, we met. And being given the trust and responsibility to do this was a big deal. And in July, I am on a conference call with specific people from Nike, one of them being Paul Rivera, amongst others. And I am informed of the plans, PR. And I am informed, and shout out to PR, like he's the person that like championed me to be in this position. And it was a tremendous life experience, and I'll always be grateful for that. But we're on this phone call, and they're laying out the plans for the days at Rucker, which were, I believe, like the second week of August. And they're like, okay, Eric, just so you know, and this cannot be repeated, so you cannot tell anybody that when we run your chain link fundamentals clinic there, and the whole strategy was select like a group of 50 kids that were participating all summer, had great attitudes, were always there, all that, and they get to be featured in this thing. They're like, just so you know, you're going to have a special guest at the clinic. And mind you, this is a few weeks after Game 7. Like, my basketball soul is shattered as a fan. And they say, Eric, your guest at the clinic is Kobe Bryant. And I just froze. And then I remember PR starting to laugh and be like, yo, E, you going to be okay with this? Because there was such that feeling of rivalry for so long. And
hilarious.
I had experiences working with players and athletes at clinics, and obviously my early media experience, but nothing to this magnitude. And you get to the day and the anticipation of the day. And one thing that is still really funny to this day, and Nico Harrison, of course, was the guy at Nike then working alongside Kobe on everything he did. And for those who don't know, Nico Harrison is now the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. So
nice.
Nico and I, we were documenting the summer. If you remember Kellen Dengler, who has gone on to be very successful in video production and has his own company, like he was our DP filming everything. So we were filming, interviews with Kenny Satterfield and Mike Campbell and documenting the clinics and like making a mini doc for the first time. Like I was doing this for the first time in this way without realizing what I was doing.
Mike and Kenny, playground royalty, just for those who don't know, like both,
and I was
both were NBA material. Kenny actually played for the Sixers, and Mike Campbell had a free agent workout with the Denver Nuggets. But just for those who don't know those names,
I think did Kenny play for Denver too?
He might have. Yeah, I think he did. I think he did. Yep.
Yeah. And I think Mike also had a shot at the Clippers. And I was talking about Mike recently, actually, with Jason Crow, who's the new head coach at Inglewood High School. His son is Jason Crow Jr., who's a top 10 player in the country. And
nice.
That's a project I'm working on now. Jason was Paul Pierce's high school teammate at Inglewood.
Oh, wow.
And he's his podcast partner on the Truth Lounge. Jason Crow is high level, played international for 12 years. So I asked him if he remembered Mike, because he was sharing some international stories with me. And to me, Mike Campbell might be the best player I ever saw who didn't make the league. Like that's how good he was. So I say all that to say, I'm having these incredible experiences, and it comes to the day, and we're trying to coordinate everything beforehand, and there's hundreds of cameras around the court. And I'll get to the impact that had on me at the end of this story. But Nico and I are going back and forth, and he's like trying to get our camera off the court because he doesn't want other media giving them crap. I'm like, Nico, we're documenting the entire summer. Like, I gotta have him on here. And I'm like, I would really like to put this lav mic on him. And he's like, well, that's not happening. And I'm just like, all right, pick your battles. I got the camera to stay on the court. And the game plan was, you're going to start your clinic, and around the 15-minute mark, someone is going to tell you that we're walking Kobe out.
Yeah.
So I planned it so we would be in something that was group, not split up into stations. And mind you, this is Rucker Park World Basketball Festival chaos. There's a hardwood floor out. There's a scoreboard up with a big screen monitor on it. There's VIPs everywhere, and I'm right there in the spotlight on the mic, doing what I do. And
let me also share that there had never been a hardwood floor outdoors, to my knowledge, in New York. I mean, I know the 1936 Olympics, they did a hardwood floor, but like, we're talking about Harlem, you know, the centerpiece of the culture, and there's wood on top of asphalt on 55th and 8th Ave. Like, that was just, people were talking about that for months.
One of the most beautiful courts I've ever seen.
Wow, afterwards. So anyway, yeah.
You remember the shine on that?
Like, yes, I do, of course. Yeah.
It was unbelievable. So it was so great when I evolved to the level that I did, where I didn't have to lead every drill. I didn't have to be the drill sergeant getting them fired up. I could kind of just give the game plan to the coaches and really oversee. And what I would do in these clinics is kind of, whether it was 1 court, 2 courts, 3 courts, depending on where we were, I would always kind of like be bouncing around to see who needed an infusion of something. Energy, a kid's having a rough day, a coach needs help with a drill, whatever. So the kids are spread out doing foot fires, defensive slides, stance, all that.
Foot fires. I love that.
All that. And all of a sudden, out of that back corner, I get a tap on the shoulder, like, Eric, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And out of that back corner, here comes Kobe. And the kids are focused on the task at hand. They're focused on the drill. And all of a sudden, one by one, they all start doing double takes because they're watching themselves on the scoreboard. And then they're seeing this 6'6" figure come by.
I thought he was 6'8".
Kobe? Yeah, 6'6".
6'6", okay.
This figure comes by, and they're doing double takes, and then by the time he gets to me, everyone is just frozen and stopped. And we get introduced, and I go to give him the mic, and he goes, no, I want to keep watching this, keep doing this. So we get right back into it.
Dope.
And 2 minutes later, he's like, all right, E, let me see that mic. And he just starts to teach. He starts teaching technique. Nice. He starts teaching balance. There was a kid who was hunching and wasn't challenging with the right hand up, and he just starts to get into it. And I'm just like, you see me on the footage, and I like have this like game face look on my face, which was common, but it's like I'm just absorbing all of this greatness happening in front of me and this moment. And mind you, none of my coaches knew this was going to happen. So they're looking at me. And some of those guys I had known at that point for like, more than just a couple of years. Yeah. And they know my Celtic fanaticism and all that stuff. So one of them jokingly comes up to me. They go, am I going to have to keep an eye on you during this? I'm like, no, this is incredible. And for the next hour and a half, we split them up. 3 stations. 1 basket each. The court was big enough for that. So ball handling was in the middle. Shot making one end. Dribble moves into finishes on the other. And instead of me taking the lead on bouncing station to station, I'm shadowing the greatest technician we've ever seen doing that. And watching him teach and having these little exchanges in the down moments. And it was one of the greatest experiences I ever could have imagined, being in that position and having that be the culmination of this magical summer where so much basketball culture history was created, established, and made. And the incredible thing about it, Bob, was I looked around that day. This is 2010, so this is, early Twitter. People are shooting to digital. You have the basketball platforms trying to figure out who they were going to be in the digital landscape, meaning Dime Magazine, Slam Magazine, the outlets. And I'm looking around, and at that point, I had done a lot of freelance creative work. I had done stuff in the basketball space, and I had just turned 32 years old, and I had no interest in coaching in college. So I knew pretty soon I'm going to have to make a decision about how I'm going to pursue basketball, or am I going to go the creative route via sports. And that day instilled in me that there is such an appetite for this stuff on the content side that I can do this. And one of the reasons why I felt that way is the next day, and cut to photo, like the next day, here's this photo of Kobe Bryant and I side by side in this moment of focus and whatever was going on. And it's on all the blogs. And I'm wearing the Chain Link t-shirt, and he's in the Nike zip up with the shades on. Oh man! And
if only you had Instagram, then you would have way more followers.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks. Cheap shot, love it. No, but seriously, like I have a lot of great experiences with many players and personas. I'm not a guy that takes pictures with guys and posts them. This picture obviously was taken of us because there was so much media there. But then, he gives a talk to the kids at the end. He takes photos with the coaching staff, with the kids. I do remember a moment where he's talking to Mike Campbell. I have a great picture with him and Mike. So they're just talking game and technique and all that. And they're literally standing side by side, like same height. It was such an incredible memory. And not only that, but like motivation. Like I'm going to figure this out. Like wherever I decide to go career-wise, I could figure this out. And that day and that experience had a lot to do with the decision I made and how it's helped me end up here.
Amazing, yo.
Thank
Amazing,
you.
Eric.
Took a while to get there, but yeah.
It's all right.
No, I you can tell these stories without the context, but what Kobe Bryant represented through these different moments in time is really interesting. And, just the high school kid that the Lakers saw greatness in and how he evolved, and then obviously the impact on not just the game on the court, but basketball culture in general. And, throwing it back to you, like you have interviewed him. I mean, the whole sneaker journey. Like, what are some things that stand out for you in terms of Kobe's impact on basketball, not just on the floor, which is so well documented, but basketball culture?
So let me share that, Kobe at Rucker during the Chain Link Fundamentals / World Basketball Festival in 2010 is not the first time he was uptown. He actually suited up for the Entertainers Basketball Classic, aka the EBC, which used to have games live on NBA TV, and started in 1980 at a totally different park called Mount Morris. But as it went through its years and landed at the world's most famous outdoor arena, if the indoor most famous is the Garden, we can quietly and unequivocally say that Rucker is the equivalent outdoors, right? And
Yes.
he suits up, and this is in an era when former President Clinton is in the crowd, and Baron Davis and Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury are all regulars. Then you got all the playground legends playing there. Malloy Nesmith, aka the Future, and I mean it's Speedy Williams. I mean 55th is it in the early 2000s. Like there's no competition.
And just to add, this is I just fact checked. This is July of 2002.
Okay.
So he's coming off of his three-peat.
Yes.
Coming to Rucker.
Yeah. So he gets to Rucker, and similar to how you were describing the children, it's kind of like taking a double take. It's like he shows up at Rucker, and people don't really know that he's gonna be there. Or maybe there's rumors that he's going to be there, but it's like it's not real until he's actually there, and people are just like bugging out. They Hannibal, I think it was Hannibal, who was one of the announcers. They had EJ Smooth, and I'm sorry, Booby Smooth, EJ, the mayor, and Hannibal. And I think it was Hannibal that nicknamed him Lord of the Rings, which to me was like the flyest nickname, because Kobe nicknamed himself, which is like a no-no in the playground. He nicknamed himself Black Mamba, but when he came uptown, they gave him Lord of the Rings, and he went on that asphalt and gave the people a show, reverses, crazy dribbling, dunks, just. And unfortunately it rained. They didn't get the full game, but I mean, what he gave them in the time that he was there. So him going back up to Rucker to me is not surprising. And just to put it in a wider context, Kobe was the consummate brand. Like he wasn't just a strategist on the court. Like he understood, I'm going to China, I'm going to speak Chinese. He also spoke Spanish. You can find interviews of him talking fluently in Spanish, and we know that he was raised in Italy. So here's a dude that could speak multiple languages, that understood, if I go uptown to Harlem, to Rucker Park at its height, the ABC, that's also good for my brand. That's also good to sell sneakers. That's also good to sell merchandise. That's also good for my credibility. He didn't have to do that. He was already an NBA legend, basketball legend, but then he goes up there and puts in a legendary performance, that people still talk about to this day. There's still footage of it, so that cements him. The asphalt, to me, even though asphalt is different than cement, but the asphalt is what cements somebody's legacy, and he did it. So I want to share that context, but in the sneaker space as well, Kobe is a legend. He puts out the Crazy Eights with Adidas. He has other signature shoes. And then in 2006, he shifts over to Nike. And they don't give him his own shoe right away, but eventually he gets his signature, the Zoom Kobe 1, which I used to call the Zubies, Zoom Kobe. That was my own thing. I had a chance to interview him on my series, It's the Shoes for ESPN. They fly me out to Nike headquarters because he's doing a press day. He got mad Chinese media there, mad Japanese media, US, Europe, everybody's there. I get to interview him on the mic on stage, right? And bust out like he hasn't seen me in 10 years. Yo, Bob, what's up, B? Remembers me. I'm like, again, the technician, the strategist that Kobe is. Like, how calculating can he be? Again, because he never let on whether he knew me as an air personality from the radio or not, right? But he sees me, yo, Bob, what's up? Gives me a pound, gives me a hug. I'm like, yo, how does this dude who's met millions of people remember me from, I mean, well, Vibe magazine did have 4 million readers worldwide. So maybe he got the clipping and kept the tear sheet. I don't know. But I was really impressed by that. And, it wasn't the only time I interviewed him. Also was booked to do a sort of like a talk with him, like a couch sessions at the Reed Space. Now the Reed Space at the time was like perhaps the breaking point. There's like pre-Reed Space and there's post-Reed Space, and the reason why I say that is because when Nike did the collab with Jeff Staple, who was the founder of Reed Space and also the designer behind Staple, he does the pigeon dunk, which that's what puts this whole sneaker craze above the line. It's no longer like this secret. It's like it's on the front page of the New York Post. There's a line outside of Reed Space for the pigeon dunk drop, and so Nike, obviously thought that was a good location to bring Kobe to further his credibility in the sneaker space because he already had the basketball credibility. And they asked me to interview him again. He sees me. It's been however long. Yo, Bob, what's up? I'm like, yo, how does this, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a brilliant dude, and we talked about Lower Merion. We talked about sneakers and then the last time I get to interview him is I think it was in Houston. All-Star game was there. Or was it Dallas? I don't remember. We were at the All-Star game and they were doing this contest for various sneaker shops to do a collab, and Premium Goods from Houston actually won the contest, and they unveiled the Premium Goods / Zoom Kobe 1, and Kobe was there on stage with me and Jen from Premium Goods, and it was just a beautiful experience, man. But anyway, all said, I mean, we're talking about Pee Wee Kirkland, legend in 2 games. I mean, when the Kobe 4s came out, that also set ablaze the industry because he did a low cut, and that was like not happening in that era. And so it was very forward thinking, and props to Nike for taking a chance on that, and props to Kobe for being like, yo, I want to wear a low cut. Let's make it safe for me as a player and as an athlete, as a performance product. And but yeah, anyway, it's I'm not saying a lot of stuff that people from that era don't know, but for the people in 2024 who might just be learning about Kobe, understand that he had an impact in multiple levels. Eric, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Well, one question I have to ask is like, what is it like? I mean, I can't imagine being a fly on the wall for you interviewing Kobe. Like, what is it like to be locked in with a guy like that in a meaningful conversation, talking about the things that you love to talk about, that obviously that he loves and lives when it comes to the game and everything around the game?
I'm going to tell you a crazy story that I included in my upcoming memoir titled Bobbito's Book of B-Ball Bong Bong. It won't be out until 2025. But one of the most...
Get on that waiting list now, people. Get on that list.
Yeah, big up to Dave Zirin from Edge of Sports, the imprint on Akashic for picking it up. But listen, I was interviewing him on that couch for ESPN, It's the Shoes. And we mentioned sort of like his early development as a ball player. And he makes mention of, he was like, yeah, my left hand. I was like, yo, B, when I was in my teenage years, I used to brush my teeth with my left hand. I used to eat with my left. And then he's like, yo, word? He's like, me too. And then he starts making a motion of brushing his teeth with his left hand. And it was like this sort of like, I've never played in the NBA, but I've been committed to improve my handle my entire life, even as I'm approaching 58. And it's like I'm looking eye to eye with this dude who shares the same passion that I do, but on such a different level. But yet, like it's telling, it's revealing how much this dude wanted to be the best ball player that ever lived. Whether he was or not is debatable. He's definitely in the conversation, right? But he told me that when he was like 6 or 7 years old, he scored like 60 points in a game, and it wasn't even in his age group. He was playing up, and I'm like, because he was like, yo, I developed my left hand like when I was 4 years old. Like I did that when I was 14, 15. You know what I'm saying? Like, but props to his father. Jelly Bean Bryant. Clearly.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, he passed. I didn't know that. Okay.
Passed about a month ago.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. There's a documentary called "Fathers of the Game" or "Fathers of the Sport," where they talk to Jelly Bean and a couple of the record legends. That was really dope. But yeah, anyway, I know that my interviews with him were in this sort of space where he was still playing. But Eric, you had the great fortune of interviewing him post retirement during your production of All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steve Jackson. Uh, what was it like being behind the scenes in 2020, I guess?
December of 2019.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're like a month before he passes. Is that the last interview he ever does?
On record, it is his last meaningful sit down.
Wow. And you're behind the mic and camera.
Producing and directing it. Matt and Stack are with him. And
let me guess, he remembered your name from Chain Link Fundamentals?
Well, no? I'll tell you the story. It's pretty special. This was the 24-hour window where I knew I was stepping into a whole new world of access, and things were going to change in a great way. So this is December of 19. This is when I'm still living in New York. This is before the pandemic. This is 4 months into the launch of Showtime Basketball. So we launched Showtime Basketball.
And you're the executive producer of it, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I was the executive producer of Showtime Basketball for 4.5 years before, unfortunately, Paramount decided to sunset Showtime Sports. And, the game plan was we're launching All the Smoke on the digital side. So it was accessible to everybody. And the way that all happened, I'll save for another marathon episode. But then, we had gotten the green light to start production on Kevin Garnett, Anything Is Possible, to start the year, January 2020. So, we knew All the Smoke was going to be something special, but the rate in which it happened was pretty unreal. So I fly out it's a Monday. I fly out to LA early in the day, and I came out that day because we had the Kobe episode set for Tuesday morning. But Monday night, I was attending the red carpet premiere of Uncut Gems to be behind the scenes with KG and his team at the Hollywood ArcLight. So literally taking all of that in. There's shots in the film that are filmed on the red carpet. Safdie brothers, Sandler, everybody. And for those that haven't seen Uncut Gems, put it on your watch list. It's one of Sandler's great performances. KG plays himself in the film, and it is a wild ride, and it's a terrific film. But, after party and surreal stuff. And, I like to go out and have a good time, but I had to call it an early night because at 7:00 in the morning, we're getting into Matt Barnes's SUV at our partner production studio in Santa Monica, and we're driving 90 minutes south to Kobe's office in Costa Mesa to load in, set it up real quick, and do his interview. And Matt and Stack were this is early. This ended up being episode, I think, 13, which is very interesting because he was the 13th pick in the 1996 draft. But they were so excited, like kids going to see their idol. And, Matt obviously was Kobe's teammate with the Lakers. Stack was in the McDonald's game with him in 96 and always had a great connection and bond and I think brotherly love through the game of basketball.
Dope.
And, we shot this hilarious stuff that is yet to be released on the car ride down. And then we get in there and, I got to be honest, like, it takes a lot to get me nervous in doing this. And obviously this was the early days, but I was just like, we got to get this set up faster. We got like Kobe's waiting. And I remember his assistant who was, I hope she's doing well. Her name is Rita. She comes over to check in and I'm like all apologetic because I feel like we're behind. She's like, Eric, you got nothing to worry about. He wants to do this. Just let me know when you're good to go. And, I'm literally, definitely have a photo of this somewhere. But I'm literally positioning his Oscar on the side table behind him. So it's to be sure to be like in his ISO shot and just incredible stuff. And, there really isn't time for anything. As soon as we're ready, they bring him out. They had already said hello behind the scenes. So we just get into it. And we know we're on a clock. We're not doing an hour and a half with him. We're doing like a straight 40 minutes. And just absorbing not just what he had to say, but where he was in his life and how happy he was doing what he was doing. And, he's creating this company. He's into the arts. He won an Oscar. He had the Detail show going on with ESPN, which is one of the best basketball breakdown things I've ever seen. And the love and their stories. And, Matt is so good at navigating the beats where Stack fills in with his thoughts and experiences and the humor. And you saw the evolution of the show happening in front of your eyes with Kobe Bryant. And it was so special. And, the show ends and it just felt comfortable. And I said, hey, again, my name is Eric. I said, I got to show you something. And I showed him the picture from Rucker. And someone took a picture of me doing this too. I showed him the picture. I said, hey, this is Rucker Park 2010. Do you remember this? He goes, of course I remember this. This was an incredible day. He looks at the picture, he looks at me and he goes, how the hell did you get from there to here? This is now 9+ years and a major career change and life shift.
Yep.
And I gave him the 45-second, believe it or not, I have a 45-second abridged version.
No way.
And then I tell him, hey, just so you know, working directly with KG, co-directing, producing his doc. We start filming in January. We would love to figure out how to film you with him. And in it, he goes, whatever you need, you just let Rita know and we'll figure it out.
So,
and he, I can count on one hand, I think, how many athletes, celebs I've taken pictures with intentionally. And everybody was taking pictures with him that day, group photos, all this stuff. And there's a picture or two with he and I that I may have posted once. What an unbelievable experience to be able to have. And I don't want to get into the sadness of what happened and all that. Like, to be able to have that 24 hours where, I'm behind the scenes with Kevin, knowing we're moving forward on his film, knowing I've earned that opportunity and earned his trust, and then to be able to experience that, not just for me, the crew, for Matt and Stack, knowing where they wanted to take the show and what they wanted the show to be. It was an incredible moment. And to do it 5 weeks before his passing it just makes it that much more meaningful. And to be able to, like, that episode, I don't know, I haven't checked in a while. I mean, millions and millions of views. And people celebrate that episode because that was the last sit down that Kobe Bryant did. So,
and people still celebrating his life, his journey. I
mean, the Mamba mentality thing, you talk about a legacy.
Yeah.
And sorry to cut you off. I just thought of this, like Justin Francis, one of our favorite people to work with, incredible photographer, DP,
cinematographer.
Cinematographer. He got commissioned to help finish a project. I can't remember the title. I'll pull it up in a second. But it was all about the growth of all the murals that popped up all over LA.
Yeah, yes. After Kobe passed. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And him telling me about that and what that meant. And obviously he's been in LA a lot longer than I have. Like just so much stuff. And I think about Kobe Bryant, not every day, but pretty often. And when I drive to different parts of LA, like, you're gonna see a Kobe mural somewhere.
Yeah,
and
it ain't just in LA either. Be like, there's Kobe murals all over.
Sure.
Like, just it wasn't just a local or hyper local phenomena with the mural painting. And I mean, his sneakers still sell till today. Mamba Mentality, the book, is a New York Times bestseller. And it's when I was shopping my memoir. It's one of the titles I put in, not, you do a comp list. Not that like my book is going to be comparable to Kobe's book, but it's a marker. It's like this is literature. This is someone's life. This is someone's commitment, dedication. He hits so many entry points for like millions and millions of people. So, and the imprint on the game, I mean, people talking about like changing the NBA logo to Kobe's silhouette instead of Jerry West,
I think they should.
I think
those designs that came out, like designers doing that, it looks so perfect.
Yeah.
It looks so perfect.
And perhaps maybe one day that will happen. It would be welcomed. I think me personally, when he was lost, it wasn't just that it was that his daughter was as well. And as a parent,
and
that
and seven other people as well. We need to mention.
Yep. But for me, like as a parent, that made me think of the blessing of life and and safety and it's still like, even again in my memoir, like I mentioned Kobe's interaction with me throughout my career, but then I also mentioned how he passed, and that and just making me think about my own child. And so I think this has been a beautiful ride today, Eric, that way we can share both of our personal experiences with an all-time great, a Hall of Famer, a champion, on multiple levels. I mean, he probably would have won a college as well, but he won, state championship at Lower Merion, 6-time champion in the NBA. And we look forward. Oh, 5 times. I'm sorry, 5 times. 5 times. Yes, 5 times. Eric, sorry. He didn't reach the Jordan mark or the Bill Russell mark, although he wanted to really bad. But in any event, we hope that all of you comment and share this episode. We want to shout out.
One more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing before the shout outs.
Okay.
Can you imagine the smile on Kobe Bryant's face from above watching what has finally transpired with women's basketball?
Oh my God. Yes.
Because what he has, what he led that nobody else, no, listen, NBA players have supported women's basketball for a long time, but nobody of his prominence and stature did anything close to what he did.
Yeah.
So whether it was the coaching, his own kids,
the
whether
AAU
it was
team.
the AAU team, the Sabrina, whose last name I always mispronounce, who's on the Ionesco on the Liberty, helping her get into the shoe game and the Nike world with that. Like the man's legacy is something that it's going to be an immeasurable thing that carries on like to his children's grandchildren. And it's truly magical. So I wanted to share that, because leaving that out would be irresponsible. So
yeah, absolutely right.
Beautiful. My soul welcomed this today. So
yes,
thank you, my friend.
Mine too. We all need this, and I hope that our listeners feel the same way too. We want to shout out our illustrious staff that holds us down: Deja Carr, Amanda Benavente, our editor Robert Brooks,
Bobby Brooks in the house.
Who's your man that's hooking us up? Sam, what's his last name?
Oh, Sam Abunassar, who is the son of Impact Basketball Joe Abunassar. Sam's the man. Sam, if you're listening, Sam, you're the man.
Sam better be listening. I mean, come on. He brings too much to the table.
he's USC Film School. He's interning at a production company.
All right.
He's helping us with the final archival on More Than a Statue. Sam is outstanding. Comes from a great family.
There it is, people. Eric, much love. You have a great day, and we're going to B-Ball Radio out now. Later.
Cue the Jaws music. Peace.
B-Ball Radio.